Good evening. Hand today's pocket queens. So this is a full ring game. We only have 6 players at the table right now. You can see I've been playing there for about 65 hands. I have a more of a loose passive type player to the right of me. He folds. It's on me in the cutoff. I'm going to be raising first in, raising all these hands. I think that's pretty standard. We can look at players behind us. We know that Big Blind is more of a looser, passive type, kind of in between. The problem with him is that he plays too many hands. He is aggressive when he comes in pre-flop, but it doesn't look like he really 3 bets much, and it doesn't look like he cold calls 2 bets much. So I don't think we really need to worry about him coming in unless he has a decent hand. And if he has a decent hand, then it doesn't really matter what we bet in that case. Villain 2, I have him pegged as a loose passive, so 44-13. He's probably going to be coming along, and this could be a spot where we can increase our bet size because we figure that he's going to be coming along and we'll punish him. However, the button here has called 42% of the time, or called a 2-bet 42% of the time, played 38%. If we look at his called 2-bet on the button, it's 43. I'm sorry, button, it's 21%. He's called. This is probably odd for the button because you can see that he's called 61% in early position, 45 in mid position, 38 in the cutoff, 47 small blind, 43 in the big blind. If he's on the button, perhaps he's 3-betting, but he doesn't seem to be doing that excessively. So I think on the button, that number is probably just because this lower number is probably just because he really hasn't had many playable hands, or there's been a bet and a raise before it gets to him when he's been on the button. So I think for this, I think it's unusual that it was so low. So I wouldn't raise to build up a pot with the knowing that this guy might end up calling with a wider range, and then he'll have position, and we'll kind of have a harder time dealing with that. We're artificially building a pot. And if we, say raise the 5 big blinds and he calls and then all of a sudden he squeezes all in, we're going to be forced to fold a lot of our hands, even some of our better hands, because we don't know what villain 1's going to do. And I don't think we would really want to call. We would probably have to raise to try to isolate that player. So I think just more of a standard raise is okay, which I do. Villain 1 folds. Villain 2 calls. And the button folds. So let's get villain 2. He is definitely playing loose. He didn't raise. He didn't 3-bet. Let's see what his 3-bet stat is from the small line. His overall 3-bet is 1 out of 69. So I think against this player, we're going to give him kings plus aces. I think he's probably just going to call with ace king as well. We'll probably give him the suited hands. 1, 2 gappers, 1 and 2 gappers. I think we'll leave those king 9, queen 9, jack 9, 10 9 offsuits. Probably those offsuits as well. I kind of get the feeling that people do play these because they have the straight potential, maybe even these, and I probably do it more so than like the king offs. I think a lot of people understand flush potential, straight potential, so we'll leave that in, and that's 47%, maybe a little wide, but I think we can go with it. So we're going to be seeing a flop, us versus this player, and this player is going to be pretty wide, playing at 47.2%, has 626 combos. We're definitely going to have the edge on him. So our percent form is 20.4%. We have 270 combos, and we take a flop of 9 of clubs, 5 of clubs, and 2 of diamonds. All right. So this player, you can see on that board, that's here, their equity is 43.8. Ours is 56.2. We should be ahead of this range a good percentage of the time, but he is more likely to have, you know, a top pair hand like a 9, whereas we're more likely to have those over pairs, aces, kings, queens, and jacks. We can have flush draws. He can have draws. He's going to be likely to have the straight. So I think on this board, we're going to be aware that he's probably going to be calling a lot. So we're going to bet a lot of hands for value, with the expectation that he's going to be hitting a 9. He'll continue with pair 9s. He'll continue with flush draws, with straight draws, and so forth. So what does he do? He checks to us, and now it's on us. What should we be doing? I think we are going to be betting a set. We'll bet over pairs. You know, 10s, jacks, queens, kings. I think we're going to be betting top pair, but maybe not all of them. Yeah, I think we are going to bet all of them, because I think the clubs can call, diamonds can call, straight draws can call, and he's got straight draws, both the low straight draws as well as the middle straight draws. I do think a loose player like this might end up calling, gut shots. Now, note that his fold to flop c-bet when out of position 73%. So he's not just going to call with air. I think he's going to have something to continue with. So I think top pair plus is going to be our value hand. I think we are going to be betting as a semi-bluff our flush draws. I think our gut shots. And our overcards will be, I think, our 2-card backdoor flush draws. I think something like that. With a 10-8. Let's see here, 10-8. 7-8. I think 8-6, 7-6. We're going to have those as our 2-card backdoor flush draws. And like our combos, we might have actually too much in here. Too many values relative to bluffs. So it's possible that we can go with this pocket pair less than the top card as kind of a bluff, as well as the middle pair. If we get called, I think maybe all of our pairs. If we get called, I think we're just going to have to we're going to probably have to check these behind and see what happens on the river. I think this kind of ensures that we have a lot of bluffs. But then again, I'm kind of thinking that maybe we don't have that. I do think we go for value, because he is going to be calling a lot of draws. And with these pocket pair below the top cards, I'm going to revise this. I'm going to say we're going to be checking these. We're going to check that. We're going to check that. We're going to check that. We're going to be checking no made hand, bottom pair, and then I think we're going to be checking all of our other overcards that don't have that backdoor diamond draw. That backdoor, yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing. So that's going to be our c betting range. So I bet half pot. I think that's fine. I'm going to expect to get called quite a bit. I think if we get called, we're going to be looking at least a set, over pair, top pair, probably pocket pair, middle pair. I think a loose passive is calling with the flush draw. I think he is calling with the gut shot. I don't think he's calling with the overcards or 2-card backdoor flush draws. I think he's continuing with those. So I've got 52% that he's continuing. Maybe he's continuing with these middle pairs. You know, I'm going to say the middle pairs and below these pairs are going to be questionable. 6s, 7s, and 8s, I do think he might be calling. And if he's calling those, I kind of think he's going to call a middle pair, and then these, you know, basically just any pair. We'll say any pair plus flush draw, or open ender, and the gut shots. We'll do that. Now he raised it. So when he raised it, I don't think it makes sense for him to raise with the set. I really don't. I don't think he'll raise with the set, check raise with the set until the turn. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to really bet with the overpair either. I mean, he could if he has like tens, jacks, or queens, kind of isolate, try to help isolate with, that. I think what we're going to do is kind of say 50% for those. Top pair. Again, I don't know why you would. Why you would check raise that. I'm going to take out like ace 9 and king 9. No, we'll leave that in. We'll say that he's playing those because he doesn't think I have a 9. I think we're going to take those out because he check raised. Maybe he check raises with the flush draw. Let's see, we only have 174 hands on him. How many times has he check raised a c-bet? Hasn't check raised at all. This is the first time. So I don't think a lot of people check raise the flush or draws. I think we're dealing with overpair, maybe top pair type hand. I think that, and maybe he'll surprise us. Maybe he only has 2 overs. So if he check raises that, and we've already c-bet, what are we going to be continuing with? Well, at this point, he's giving us. So we bet 3.48. Villain raises to 10.44. So we have to call about 7 more big blinds. We're getting 3-1 on the call here. Yeah, almost 3-1 on the call. So we need 25% equity. I think we're going to be getting it. I don't think we can fold our top pair. The only ones that I think we can fold are these 9-7, 9-8, 10-9, and Jack-9. And really, we do have some backdoor equity with the 9-8 and 9-7. Could possibly pick up, a straight draw, like a gut shot draw. If I fold, I think it's going to be these. So I would continue with ace-9. I think Jack-9, 10-9 probably fold because I'm thinking, he probably has me out-kicked. Or has an overpair. Flush draw, I would call. I'm getting 3-1 odds on it. I figure to win more if I connect. The gut shots. We're not gonna. I don't think I'm calling the gut shots. The gut shots that I do have are part of that flush draw, and the 2-card backdoor flush draw. I don't think I'm calling. Except I think I'd probably call these. Those are cut shots. I think I would call those gut shots with a 2-card backdoor flush draw. And then, so that is flush draw with gut shot, flush draw and overcards. I think that is what I'm going to call. Would I 4-bet? I don't think I'd 4-bet, even with an overpair set. I don't think I'm going to bet here because I'm looking at this and thinking it just kind of doesn't make sense for him to check raise trips on this board. Maybe he has 2s, maybe he has 5s. That's a possibility. I kind of think he would wait to see the turn, see what I do on the turn. So call and get a bet out of me, and then wait to see, hope that I bet again on the turn and then check raise and get another bet, or lead the turn and then lead the river. So I did call. We're going to go with this. So you can see now I'm much more heavy in value. So 29.6%. I've got 74 combos. Their range, I think, is kind of got narrowed down. So 16.9% with 96 combos. Turn is 2 clubs, and I think that is where we look at this as saying, I think we are ahead. Because I don't think he would have check raised with the flush, and I didn't think he would really check raise with the flush. A player like this, I don't think check raises with the flush. He's not aggressive enough. So I think here I'm still good, and even if I'm not, even if perhaps he has kings, or perhaps he wakes up and he has aces, kings and aces really. I have a club draw. So what do I think he's going to be betting? I think he's going to bet his overpair, and I think he's going to continue betting his top pair hands. Well, no, I think he's going to freeze. He's probably going to check everything except his. Well, he doesn't have a flush, so yeah, he doesn't. I think he's going to be checking everything. It doesn't. I think this player just doesn't make sense. I think it's going to be. He's going to be frozen out. I think we can bet here. And get him to fold a lot, but I think I'm way ahead. And even if I'm not, maybe he has the ace of clubs, maybe he has the king of clubs. I'm willing to take that shot because I think I can get one more bet out of him. So I think the play isn't to bet and build value. I think it's to check, and then depending on the turn, we could raise with quads, we could raise him with the full house, and hope that he calls. We can raise him with the nut flush and hope he calls. But I think we're going to be checking here and hope to get some value on the river because I don't think I'm going to get any value from him at this point. I do think I'm like way far ahead. So turn range, it's going to be 100%. We still have 71 combos. He checked with 100% of his range. Now when we check, I think that encourages him to make a bet, because he thinks that now we're scared of the club, and I'm not really super scared. And the ace of club, I think, really just alleviated any worry that I might have, because now we have the second nut flush, and I do think I'm ahead. The only hand I think I'm going to be behind is a full house, and if he has a full house, so be it. But I do expect him to be betting here. I expect him to bet the nut flush. Probably the second nut flush. I should cover that up. I expect him to bet the nut flush. I bet him to bet probably the second nut flush. I think the third nut flush will check, fourth, fifth, and so forth. So he's not going to bet all of his flushes. So when he checked, I think we can get rid of the nut and the second nut flush hands. And now the question becomes, what hands is he going to call with? Would he call with a two pair? Would he call with a pocket pair below the top card? Maybe. I think a loose passive would probably call with a pair. Maybe not a super weak pair. Well, I mean, if he calls, he could have that 9. He could call just to see what we have. So, yeah, I think at this point, we're going to be ahead. We should be betting. How much should we be betting? I think it comes down to what do we think we can get called. I definitely think half pot is going to get called. Could we bet 2/3 or 3/4 and get called? Could we make a pot bet and get called? I don't know. We don't have enough on this player. So I bet pot. And what hands are we going to be betting pot with? Well, once he checked, we're going to be betting our quads, our full house, our set. So our full house, our flushes are going to be betting the nut, the second nut, and I think the third nut. We can bet. I don't think the fourth nut is what. I don't think we're going to bet that, because I think with the fourth nut he could have the third nut. I don't think we're going to bet two pair. Well, yeah, we are, because I think he's heavy on these bad cards. Small chance that he has flushes. I think we're betting for value that he has that 9. So yeah, I do think we're going to be ahead. So looks like we're going to be betting basically everything except this nothing hand. Because I think we can get called. We can get called because his distribution 61% is this weak pair. And I do think he's going to be calling with that 9. A loose player is going to call with that 9. So, and I guess we should say he had 21.4. So I think we bet and hope he calls. We showed the queens. He showed ace 10. He had the 10 of clubs. Did he have that in his range? So I didn't have that in his range. And the question is, why not? It was this. I expected him to check raise something better. He actually checked raised a no made hand. He check raised ace 10. So maybe he check raises all of his aces. Wow. So we go 2 of clubs. He checks everything, and then ace of clubs. So he had the 4th nut, the 10 of clubs. Okay. So what about my hand? I was going to revise it. I think what happened is I saw I had the queens and I thought about this good 2 pair pocket pair. I don't think we bet those. I think we bet these up to the 2nd nut. I think the 3rd nut and below, I think we just check because of the possibility that he, he could have some of those better hands, and we don't know if he's going to call all of those 9s. We're hoping that when we bet that he's going to be calling, a lot of these 9s to increase a lot of those weak pair type hands. But if we know he has the ace, the question is, would he call with just that ace? If he didn't have the flush, I don't know. So I think I took a note of this. Yeah, so he limped under the gun with queen 10 off. He called pre-flop raise and then check raise the nut flush draw. And I think what we're going to do is this. Called pre-flop raise and called, how about cut off pre-flop raise in small blind with ace 10 off. Check raise on 9 high board. So kind of get it in there. He did. So this is now the 2nd time that he's check raised. So I'm not thrilled with my analysis at this point. I do think this is what this is the area that we should be betting. I think we have some value, especially on a scary 4 club board. I think we just check all of those. I think we check the rest of these. All right, this is a rough one for me. If you like this scene, look tomorrow for another.